If there is one sentiment that has echoed throughout every generation that has walked on this earth, it is that we, as a species, value our future generations more than anything else. Children are the kings and queens of the future. They are the key to a brighter tomorrow. What better way do we prepare them to face the obstacles in life than through education? A step-by-step process that prepares children from all facets of life by broadening their knowledge and helping them develop essential skills that will get them far in life. However, there has been a drastic decline in quality when it comes to education, specifically here in Malaysia. This decline has brought about a number of issues that affects not only children but also teachers in the education system. A good example to bring about is the lack of infrastructure available to assist schools in the education system. Most Malaysian children find it especially difficult to acquire the bare minimum equipment to go about their education life. From books to laptops to even shoes, children, especially from rural areas, often find it difficult to possess these things. However, you might be thinking that this is the norm, as we have been desensitized to such bare minimum treatment from our education system since we were all kids. To put how far behind our education system is into context, Uruguay is the first country in the world to provide all primary school students, even from the public sector, with free, fully functioning laptops. If the everyday Malaysian's norm is having to buy your own laptop just to attend your classes, then the average student in Uruguay's norm is to get free laptops and enjoy their computing lessons without having to worry about their bank account depleting. If the counter argument is that Uruguay is a developed, high-income economy, a level Malaysia is yet to achieve, well, then look no further than our next-door neighbor, Thailand. Even though Thailand is still considered to be a developing nation, Thailand has taken the initiative to introduce a high-skill, one-on-one computing function in the education system in the form of free tablets for all students. It goes without saying that Malaysia is simply behind in terms of progress. Research conducted by the Education Ministry showed that 36.9% of students nationwide do not possess any electronic devices. That is almost close to half of students everywhere nationwide. This is extremely worrisome statistic, especially in today's times. With the whole country facing lockdowns as of late, students nationwide were forced to do online learning to cope with the pandemic. Without any access to devices that could help these students, most Malaysian students were forced to stop their education until further notice. It is absolutely an injustice to have your education be halted due to circumstances out of your control. These problems caused by a lack of infrastructure in our education system go far and wide and make the education journey of most Malaysian students extremely difficult. It is not only the students of our country that are unfortunately met with difficulties, but also our amazing teachers. To get a better concept of their struggles, the average government school teacher earns about 2.5k ringgit a month, which is closer to entry-level graduate jobs in other fields. With such low income to worry about, they also have to keep up with increased workload and work hours. To put this into perspective, comparing this on average teacher's income in Oklahoma, which in itself is the state of the lowest average teacher salary. An average teacher there earns up to 14k ringgit a month. That is almost 6 times more than what teachers here earn. Furthermore, most teachers here are unfortunately undertrained and are forced to use their own savings to fund school projects. At its core, the Malaysian education system is simply inadequate in many ways, and the ones who suffer are ultimately the students and teachers of our beautiful nation. However, it is not entirely hopeless, as many of us have taken note of this grave issue and a great many of us have taken the initiative to help those affected by the inadequacies of our education system. One fine example is that of Teach for Malaysia, an independent, non-profit organization that strives to give all children in Malaysia the chance to have a proper education. Founded in 2010 by Zamir Zulkifli and Kiran Sivaraja, Teach for Malaysia is part of a group of educational institutions in more than 50 countries around the world, known as the Global Education Network Teach for All. They have helped students and teachers alike nationwide, and we had the honor of interviewing Mr. Divyang Hong, a select representative from Teach for Malaysia, who gave us very insightful knowledge and a deeper understanding behind the Malaysian education system.
Hi guys, so my name is Divyang Hong. I currently work with the partnership development team here at Teach for Malaysia. Prior to joining the organization, I also did the Teach for Malaysia fellowship, where I was a full-time teacher for 2 years in a school in KL. Teach for Malaysia was actually formed way back in 2010 when most of us were either still in school or I think you guys were probably in primary school or kindergarten. And yeah, the first cohort went out in 2012, where I think I think how like it started with the founder was that they saw a need for Malaysian education to have a tangible difference in the way it's dealt with, especially with the B40 community. And up until now, the model has always been recruit high potential candidates, either overseas graduates in whatever field of study that you were in, or very young corporate workers or anyone who has been in the working scene for not more than 3 years. Basically, to come back into education and trying to bring something new to the system, to reinvigorate the system with your corporate experiences. And I think in my cohort, which is 2019, we had a wide array of people who joined. We had engineering grads, we had law grads all over the world coming back to contribute to the Malaysian education system. And if we're talking about contributions, I think up until now, after 12 cohorts, we have managed to impact a total of 160,000 kids across all 13 states. Last year and the year before that, we actually explored a new model, which was to work with in-service teachers. I mean, back when I joined, they said there was already a surplus of teachers. There are 420,000 teachers in the system already. We didn't need any more to change, right? So the best way of changing the education landscape is to work with the people who are already there. So under program Duta Guru, which is a Petronas-sponsored initiative in Teach for Malaysia, we also work with in-service teachers who have been in the service not more than 1 or 2 years. We want to keep them fresh, don't want to be jaded yet. You know how the system can be sometimes. But yeah, so and currently we're working with them, and we have a massive cohort of 400 teachers per cohort. And we're already entering our third cohort this year, and that has helped us reach Terengganu, Kelantan, and all the other states that we've never gone into before. So currently we're still recruiting for our teaching partner pathway this year. So if you know anyone who's a good fit for what we do at TFM, please send them our way. I hold very close to my heart is the fact that a lot of teachers probably don't get. I mean, we all fought the same pedagogical structures in teacher training, for example, right? But they are so vastly different when you go to underprivileged communities. You're talking at a Form 3 level, these kids their level of English proficiency, for example, is at a 6 or 7-year-old level. And then you're teaching maths in Form 1, where they're supposed to be learning algebra, but they can't even do addition or subtraction yet. So I think there is a massive gap in the syllabus when it comes to that stage. And because we are so set on measuring success in a very constant way, that teachers are not equipped enough to meet the students where they're at, but at the same time trying to complete the syllabus. So there is a big gap in where the students are and what the teachers need to check off by the end of the year. Because I mean I had the struggle. I had to teach kids algebra and trigonometry when they couldn't even do -1 + 5, for example, where they're sir, macam mana ni? So I think that was the main struggles that any teacher teaching a rural underprivileged area would face, because they still need to complete it with your Convent Bukit or your Victoria institution. You still need to complete it at the same time, but the students are way behind in terms of where they're at in terms of that standard of education. Most of our contributions go directly to teacher training as well as equipping our teachers to make sure that they go into the classrooms prepared. You can read up on McKinsey consulting reports, right? Like the best way to help a community raise their standard of education is by placing high impact teachers in the communities itself. So we firmly believe in the talent that we secure through acquisition, so that they can go into these communities and become change makers. And we notice this, right? I mean, like, you're just there as a conduit, you're there as a catalyst. When I went there, and I can attest for all of the people who are in the system as well, when you go there prepared to know what kind of change you want to bring about in these communities, and you empower one or two students, those one or two students will be torchbearers, they run with it, and they inspire their friends. Most of the contributions that come to Teach for Malaysia are like directly for the students in those communities, in terms of leveling up the standard of education for them through the teachers that we place in those communities lah.
So, what do? We urge you watching to notice these flaws in the education system and to give back to those in need. You can do your part by raising awareness of this issue and by donating to initiatives that seek to help school children. There are already so many Malaysian groups out there that seek to help teachers and students alike. However, it's not up to the rakyat of our nation to take responsibility for this matter, because at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, these issues are brought about due to a lack of government funding in our education system. We propose a better tomorrow for schools nationwide by redistributing our national funds into the education system. Doing so will allow us to move a step forward in the right direction, allowing students to get the equipment they need to further their education, all while properly funding teachers in their endeavors. Our children are the kings and queens of the future. They need to be properly educated so they can be prepared to face whatever that may come ahead. So let's do our part in making sure that each and every child of our nation may get the proper and quality education that they deserve.